Welcome back to the deep dive. So you're looking to secure assets, maybe travel long-term, or even set up residency in Asia. That first crucial step, it isn't really checking property prices first.
No, not at all. It's about verifying long-term stability.
Right. Because instability is just the fastest way to see your capital disappear. So today, we're skipping the headlines, the kind of superficial stuff.
Yeah, we're going straight to the data, the objective data. That's really our mission in this deep dive, isn't it? To give you those objective metrics for stability. We've been looking at some important analysis that uses the Global Peace Index, the GPI.
And the GPI,
Yeah.
it's not just counting, like street crime incidents.
No, definitely not. It's much more comprehensive. Think of it as a risk assessment for systemic stability, the kind of stability that ensures, legal predictability, protects assets long term.
And maintains that quality of life, which is key for remote professionals, for investors.
Yeah.
So the plan is, we want to pull out the 3 most actionable insights from these safety rankings. Things that can really inform your big decisions, where to put long-term capital, or maybe where to buy that second home. Let's start with the basics, though. How does the GPI actually define a safe haven? What does that mean in their terms?
Okay, so what's really interesting here is the Institute for Economics and Peace. They compile the GPI. They have a much stricter standard than just low crime. Their index measures peace across the globe by looking at 3 main areas, 3 domains.
Okay.
Yes, it absolutely includes violent crime levels. That's in there.
Yeah.
But critically, it also assesses things like domestic conflicts, international conflicts,
Right.
and the level of military expenditure.
Okay, let's unpack that last one, military spending, because that might surprise a property buyer. Why should someone looking at real estate care about a country's defense budget? Isn't that just government accounting?
Oh, it's absolutely critical if you're an investor. It really is. High military spending often points to one of 2 things, usually. Either there are elevated risks of internal suppression or there's serious instability in the region. And both of those, well, they dramatically reduce the long-term predictability you need. You need that for reliable capital gains, for stable property management, all of it.
So if resources are constantly being shifted to defense or internal policing because of deep conflicts.
It undermines the whole institutional strength you rely on as a foreign resident or owner.
Got it. So stability is less about, say, avoiding a pickpocket.
Although that's nice too.
True. But it's more about ensuring the government, the whole system is reliable. Governance certainty.
Precisely. And when you apply those metrics across Asia, well, one country really stands out, sits right at the top, setting the gold standard. Singapore, their GPI score is 1.339. Really impressive.
Singapore, the absolute baseline, you're saying, for structural safety in Asia.
Absolutely. And that score, it's not luck. It's a direct result of very stringent, very efficient policy, and crucially, absolute enforcement.
Right.
For an investor, that structural certainty means, well, practically 0 risk of your capital being expropriated. It means highly consistent policies on foreign investment, reliable contract enforcement.
That regulatory certainty, that legal framework, that's the real security premium for long-term assets, right?
Yeah.
Even if it means higher costs to get in.
That's exactly it. It's a premium, but for many, it's worth it.
Okay, that distinction between just feeling safe on the street versus having that deep systemic safety, that's key. So if Singapore is the gold standard, let's move to our second insight. Because looking at the top 10 list, it's not just the expected global financial centers.
No, it's not.
We see some Southeast Asian nations making very deliberate strategic efforts, and that impacts their stability scores and therefore their investment appeal.
Yeah, this is where the analysis gets really valuable for people looking for that sweet spot, stability, but maybe with more accessible market entry points.
Like Malaysia.
Exactly. Take Malaysia, it ranks second in the region, score of 1.427.
Wow, that's actually really close to Singapore's score.
Yeah.
Especially considering the difference in size, market maturity.
Precisely. And the sources specifically note Malaysia for its, quote, strategic efforts in maintaining peace. Also, low crime rates, and a clear commitment to societal safety.
So for a buyer, what does that signal?
It signals a functioning government, one that's looking ahead. They understand stability attracts international capital. They're actively managing risk, which, lowers that systemic risk profile for long-term stuff like property.
Okay. And then further down the list, number 7, we find Vietnam, score of 1.802. Now, I find Vietnam fascinating here because you think of it as this huge, rapidly growing market, bustling cities. How does a place like that achieve a stability ranking that's up there with more established nations.
Vietnam is a great case study in government commitment, actually. They managed to maintain a relatively low crime rate, even with that rapid urbanization and high population density.
Hmm.
And the GPI analysis attributes this directly to the government's, well, unwavering commitment to public safety and very strict laws.
Okay, but let's push on that a bit. Strict laws, government commitment. Is that always good for, say, a remote professional or a long-term resident? Does that level of state control, that rigid enforcement, ever create issues like maybe less personal freedom or just complicated bureaucracy for foreigners? Surely there's a trade-off.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a trade-off. And it's one the buyer, the potential resident, has to weigh very carefully. On the one hand, strict governance means low crime, public order, huge benefits, right?
Sure.
But on the other hand, yeah, it often means less flexibility administratively, higher burdens for compliance if you're managing property or setting up a business.
It depends on your priorities.
Exactly. If you're primarily focused on protecting your assets, on physical safety, then a system with high enforcement reduces volatility. That's often the main financial worry. That commitment to peace and strict rules reduces systemic risk. That's what makes Vietnam attractive for people who want security alongside, cultural richness. Even if the regulatory side needs careful handling.
Okay, so strong enforcement, strategic governance, that's one path to high safety scores. Let's pivot now to the two big East Asian economies.
They seem to approach safety through a different lens, very technological, very infrastructure focused. Japan and South Korea. This brings us to our third key insight.
Right. Japan is ranked third regionally, score of 1.525. Japan is really the global model for safety that's engineered right into daily life.
Engineered in. How so?
Well, they have remarkable institutional public safety, and it comes from several factors that are deeply integrated, things like stringent legislation, yes, but also advanced technology used everywhere for security, often in ways you don't even see. And of course, that famously efficient public transportation network. That itself is a core part of their security management.
Right. When safety is actually built into the infrastructure, the trains, the laws, the tech, it feels like a really profound security premium.
Yeah.
It means the system is designed to prevent problems before they even start, not just react after the fact. Precisely. It's proactive. And South Korea, ranked 10th with a score of 1.848, shows a similar pattern. Very firm. They're noted for very low crime rates, combined with huge emphasis on public safety, again, often driven by technology.
So when you're buying property in, say, Seoul or Tokyo, you're not just getting the apartment or the house.
No, you're buying into a whole system, a highly sophisticated, technologically advanced system of public management.
I wonder, though, what's the financial trade-off there? That level of high-tech, integrated security infrastructure, it must cost a fortune to run.
It definitely does.
Does that cost eventually trickle down? Does it mean higher taxes, higher service charges for property owners?
It certainly contributes to the overall cost of living, and yes, often higher property acquisition costs too. That engineered safety, it's a clear premium you pay. You're paying for institutional robustness.
Okay.
You're relying on systems that are well-funded, modern, ensuring rapid response, maintaining order. And that's just a more expensive way to achieve stability compared to a country where it might come from, say, geographic isolation or maybe just strict non-tech control.
So the investor has to decide if that reliable, high-tech security blanket is worth the higher price tag compared to options like maybe Malaysia or Vietnam.
That's the core calculation. It's an essential comparison for any serious investor.
And just looking quickly at the rest of the top 10 in Asia.
Yeah.
I mean, the diversity is striking. You've got Bhutan, Kuwait, Qatar, Taiwan, Mongolia. It really shows that stability can be achieved in wildly different ways. Different governments, cultures, levels of wealth.
Yeah, it highlights the need for nuance, doesn't it? Take Kuwait and Qatar. Their stability is largely driven by immense wealth from resources and tightly controlled policy environments. Their strength is financial depth.
Right.
Contrast that with, say, Mongolia. Its stability is often more about its remoteness, maybe lower regional complexity.
Different flavors of stability.
What? Exactly. And as an investor, you need to understand which type you're buying into. Is it wealth-driven resilience, or is it remoteness-driven simplicity? Because the risks associated with each are completely different.
Okay. So pulling all this together, this highly analytical data from the GPI, what does it really mean for you, the listener? The person looking to make that informed decision about where to commit capital, where to maybe put down roots. How do we synthesize this?
Well, we can break it down into a few clear benefits, I think. First, those objective safety metrics, low conflict risk, political stability, strong governance, they directly translate into lower long-term risks for owning property. Simple as that.
Which means,
Which means better security for rental income, especially if you're targeting, say, the nomad and expat community. They prioritize safety very highly, and usually more reliable, maybe even lower insurance rates.
okay, so lower risk. And the second point seems to be about choice, right? This list gives you options.
Exactly. The blend of factors is critical here. The GPI data lets you match your financial goals with the kind of lifestyle you want. You could go for maximum certainty in high-cost Singapore, or you could choose a strong investment market with those strategic safety efforts like Malaysia.
Or maybe you want that unique cultural experience in a place like Vietnam, and you're willing to balance the admin hurdles with the high security.
Right. Or you prioritize that institutional robustness, the high-tech angle, in Japan or South Korea. The data helps you make that choice consciously.
So essentially, you're using the GPI to find places where your money can grow predictably because the underlying governance risk is managed. It's low.
Absolutely. The index helps reduce that systemic risk. But, and this is important, we should reiterate a general caution.
Always.
Yeah. While the sources confirm many Asian countries are generally safe, even for solo travelers, you still need common sense. Situational awareness is always advised.
No matter how good the GPI score is.
Yeah, exactly. The index is a tool for macro risk protecting your capital long term. It doesn't eliminate those micro situational risks you might encounter anywhere.
Good point. So safety isn't just about avoiding trouble day to day. It's really about investing in a country's resilience, its institutional strength. And the GPI gives you that objective lens to pick places where both your lifestyle and your capital feel institutionally protected.
Precisely. And maybe that leads to a final provocative thought for you, the listener, to consider as you weigh these options.
Oh.
Think about this. Compare the cost, financial, and maybe bureaucratic of setting yourself up in a high-tech, high-stability place like Japan, where safety is truly engineered in. Compare that to a destination like Malaysia, where stability feels more strategic, actively managed, and market entry is, frankly, more accessible.
Okay.
Does that long-term verifiable security premium you get from deep institutional robustness, does that ultimately outweigh the lower initial property costs you might find in markets that are still building that level of certainty?
That's the core trade-off, isn't it? Engineered safety versus strategically managed safety and the costs associated with each.
That's the question for any investor using this data.
A lot to think about there. So, if you're ready to take these stability insights and maybe get some specifics, details on move-in ready properties, high-yield investment options in these specific safe havens we've discussed,
You know where to go.
head over to moveandstay.com/request. Let me repeat that, moveandstay.com/request. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep digging into that research, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.